Hey everyone, it is Larry here at LC Model Shipbuilding. So this episode we're going to finish off the front half of the Forecastle deck and the well deck. So once we get to the end of that, we're going to be moving into the superstructure after this. So pretty excited to be at that point, or at this point essentially, because the next video we start to actually build up on the actual hull. So here you can kind of see what we got going on by the end of the video, and kind of get an idea of where we're going. So I'm definitely excited to see it, and super happy. So thank you very much for tuning in, and let's get started. Okay, so here we go. First up, we're going to go ahead and put our actually we're going to cut our cargo hatch off on the front here. I did the one, but didn't do the other one because I knew I wasn't putting it on yet. Now, this one likely will end up being a charging port, so I'm not going to put it on yet, but I don't want to put the small detail pieces on and then have to cut this away. So okay, there we go. Now, our winches go right here. So, gonna get a little bit of glue. Okay, so you gotta kind of spread them a little bit. They are wider than the kit ones. Okay. Now we have our anchor here. This is one of the B&B ship jewelry. And that guy goes right in there. Okay. Next up, we have some photo etch that goes down here by these doors, so we're going to put them on. We have our cargo crane bases, which go here and here respectively. I just want to make sure I'm putting them going the right direction, so I want to double check that a minute. Then we're going to have drip rails that all go along here and along here. So we're going to get them painted up and do our fencing and all of our little details that kind of go right along in here. Oh, and then we have our cargo crane, which I'm debating whether I want to put that on right now or not. I do. It should be okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on. There is a piece of photo etch that's gonna go from there to there, so we'll do that once it's on. Okay, so let me go ahead and pause a minute. I gotta get my next set of parts around, which are going to probably be our photo etch drip rails, I think. So if I come back with something else, no, I changed my mind. But anyway, that's where we're starting from, and here we go. Okay, so first on the crane here, I'm relocating it. I had it a little bit too far forward. So I got the first of the tie downs on here. We're going to show how to do that real quick. Fairly straightforward and not hard. All we're going to do is put a little dot of CA right near the, it's not a bollard, I forget what they call that, but next to the double one there. And then we're going to take this little tiny piece of photo etch from the KA set. There is a slight line there. Don't know if you can see. Yeah, there you can see it. So that is going to go right there. And then there's this little tiny round hole type deal. Eyelet. Yeah, I guess you would call it an eyelet. That sits right on the top of it. So I just want to trim off the small piece of the sprue left there on the bottom. And let me get the tweezer. Okay, that way it's going to sit flush on that plate. So to attach, I'm just going to dip it in some CA and let it sit on there. Move it over just a touch. There we go. And I'm just going to hit it with some accelerator. Okay, next up, we have the little pulley and hoist that goes on the crane, basically to hold it down so it wouldn't swing around on the deck during rough seas. So we got to cut that out. And it's a very, very thin piece, so you got to be really, really careful when cutting it. Let me just, making sure this is actually recording. So you want to get it as close to the line as possible so you don't have anything hanging off and looking ugly. And at the end of it, there's little, not eyelets, but a piece that kind of runs into that eyelet that we just glued down. Now, the reason we're doing this part first before putting the crane on is because I already learned that you have to kind of position your crane based off of these. So now, on here, I got a couple little sprue pieces, and I'm just going to try to touch up a little bit with the nippers, but I'm not going to go crazy because I don't want to risk breaking that line. So I think I'm actually going to do it with the cutter, or the knife, I mean. There we go. I know I'm not going to get it 100% perfect. They're just so tiny and fragile. I don't want to risk breaking it because then I'll have a bigger problem. Alright, so as you can see, I got the bottom painted white. That side's still brass, which is fine. We're just going to fold that across and over. So then we got our pulley. Just like that. Okay. Now, we're going to go ahead and kind of glue that just with a touch of glue. You definitely don't want too much glue on this or you'll lose the detail of the eyelet and the little bracket here that kind of holds it on. But we're just gonna put that into there so that it's holding on to that. Okay. That one's gonna kind of dry right there like it is, which is fine. So now we got our crane here, and we have two little eyelets that go on the side of that. Where'd he go? Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah. I was hoping. The glue's almost dry. So, a little touch of it right here on the side. And then we're just going to take our eyelet and drop it on. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm just going to set that there to kind of set up. And I'll end up hitting it with the accelerator here in a minute. I just want to get the other one on and only shoot it once. Okay. All right. Just want to get them kind of at the same angle. Good. Now hit it with the accelerator. Perfect. So now I'm going to attach to my crane first. I'm going to need to, oh, maybe not. Thought I was going to need to spread them open a little bit, but it does go in. Okay, so just if you missed what we're doing here, this is the China 3D crane paired up to the KA brass. So it does fit, except when you do that. Okay. The glue got in there a little bit. So we're going to have to separate that back out. Okay, I'm going to re-glue that back onto the base. Then we'll give it another try here. I want to cut away a little bit more glue because I can see some in between there. And again, these are the realities of modeling. So not everything is perfect, like sometimes you see on some videos. Okay, that should work. So we're going to dip it in our glue again. Okay, there we go. That's connected. I am going to put a tiny bit more glue on it just to keep it a little bit better so I don't run into the same problem again. Okay. Now, on the video, I did not include, unfortunately, the drip rails. I did put the drip rails all the way around here. It's going to be another point of contention to make sure you do it. They really should have gone on before the bollards, so when you're doing this in the future, make sure you do that. I made that mistake. Can't really fix it, so I ended up having to kind of do some finagling, but we did make it work. So, is what it is. So I'm going to start with this side, because this side has been drying for a lot longer. Okay. I was hoping I could just kind of squeeze that and it would hold, but not so much. Although, I might be able to do this. Okay, well I took the eyelet off trying to do that. So, you get to see all kinds of experimentation in this video. Alright, so eyelet is there. We're going to re-glue it again. And I'll have to probably do a little bit of touch-up paint on that, but that's okay. Gonna hit it with the accelerator. Okay. Now we're going to do the other side. Essentially just like that. I had it in for a brief second. It came out of that. Okay, these are annoying. I'm gonna tell you that. I'll be happy when this is done, this part. And what I'm doing now is just trying to kind of cut out the glue, because that is what the problem is. It's not, it's the glue from the first time, honestly, that I think caused that. And now it's spread quite a bit more open. There we go, it's out. So I'm going to push that back so it hugs down on the eyelet like it's supposed to. All right, there we go. I'll try this again. Third time's a charm, right? Here we go, I'm on. Okay. Almost there. Okay, I'm going to try spreading that just a hair. Should be enough. And we definitely know these cables did not survive the sinking, because the crane in real life is turned all the way forward now on the wreck. But that really isn't too big of a surprise, considering. I'm loving it. That came off again. Okay. There we go. Now from here, we can glue our crane on and be done with it. The crane, that is. So I'm just going to take a dab of CA underneath it here. There we go. Just want to make sure it's pretty straight, which we seem pretty decent here. Yeah, that'll work. I'm happy with it. Okay, now we gotta move or put our phone back on, which goes just forward of the crane. Okay. And now there's two hatches that go right here. Now, the KA set shows them in the directions, but they are fairly small right there. If you look at Titanic Honor and Glory, not Honor and Glory, I'm sorry, but Ship Magnificent, that has a map of it which is much bigger than what you're provided with from KA. So see right here, it says bolted plate over engine. I know this is probably upside down, but it says bolted plate over engine. So they're not completely accurate from KA. I don't really have a choice. I guess I'm gonna go with them, but I'm sure somebody out there has done something better. But it kind of is what it is. I'm just not going to make something right now to compensate for it. So these are those. And then the other part you might have saw in there, and I'm going to hold on doing that, is the tie downs for the rigging that goes up to the mast. So we're going to wait on that until we have a mast on there, but they go down here also. So for now, I just want to have everything else pretty much done, but I don't really see a point in putting them in yet, because how I intend to do that, I'm going to basically probably run the rigging line and then glue it straight down onto it. So putting it on now would not make a whole heck of a lot of sense. Okay, so these are just going to get a little bit of glue and basically dropped on. Okay. Now, you can see a little bit of glue through them. I'm not really that worried about that because when I put the dull coat over it, it'll cover. But there we go. So, next up, we're going to return back here and do our cranes and our arms. And then we have some little steps that go in here. We'll go ahead and put them in. So, let me get my crane arms ready. They're already painted, and I'll go ahead and put the ladders on real quick too, and then I'll be back. Okay, next up, we're gonna start putting our railing on, and I have the, what do you call them, the crane towers drying, which are basically gonna be the exact same thing as they were on the poop deck. I have the anchor stays drying, which will come here and go around to there, so they'll be going on next. But in the meantime, we're going to start the railing. So the railing basically goes in sections. So you have a front part that comes here on the fair lead, and then your next section comes along here and then bends back, and then you have a section that comes across here, and then another section that comes back here, basically bringing you back up to the fair lead section. So we're going to go ahead and cut that part off quick and get that bent up and installed. And then I probably won't video the entire railing process because it will get quite repetitive, but the reason I am doing this piece first is for the fact that the rest of them, the rest of the positions for them will be determined by where this one lands. So we want this one to basically have its first location. Now, any picture or video that you've seen of Titanic, that front is not a sharp bend. So I'm going to use a toothpick to kind of give me the bend there. And then we'll kind of go from there. Okay. I do want the post to be pretty well center to what the bend is though, so I've got to kind of reshape that until I get it just right, which that seems about there. So that then rides basically here. Actually, I do believe it goes on the front like that, so should be pretty much like that. Just want to take a picture or take a look at the directions again for the KA just to make sure I set that in the right location. No, okay, so it comes forward of that. Not forward, I'm sorry, reverse of that. So it actually comes around there, which means my bend has to be a little bit bigger, wider, I guess you'd say. So we're going to use the thicker part of the toothpick to make that bend. how that looks. Still looks like it needs to be a bit wider. So I'm going to go up to a paintbrush handle and make it wider. Okay. And if I'm blocking, I apologize. I'm just trying to get that set correctly. Okay, so it goes on the ground there, but goes around the little fairlead things. So it's actually quite a bit wider than I originally thought that it was supposed to be, but we'll get there. So it's actually more, yeah, more like that. Okay, where'd that screwdriver or that paintbrush go? That's neat. I know I had it a second ago. I guess I'll use this one. I'm just kind of working it around until I'm completely satisfied with how the shape is coming. And almost. Okay, there we go. That is it. So I got my shape. Now what I'm going to do is run some CA glue at the tip here and on the base. And then I'm going to run it kind of right along the base of this on both sides. All right. Okay, just a little bit more glue here on the bottom of that. And that should pretty much do it for that piece. And same thing over here, needs a little bit more glue. Okay, now just to make sure it is basically right where I want it. I'm going to hit it with some accelerator. And there we go. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and get the next piece ready to cut out, which is F4. And that will roll right along here. So that's going to be a longer piece. I'm going to cut that one and install it on the video, and then I'll do the rest of it off video. So let me find F4 here. F3. So it's this long one right here. All right. So, let me look at where the camera is angled. Yeah, okay, I'm still in it. So I'm going to cut that out a while. Now, later in the build, a lot of the railings end up getting caps on them, wooden caps. These rails do not have them. They were just metal. They are still just metal. Most of these rails for this part of the ship are actually still intact on the wreck. I did read somewhere that they were iron, which it's kind of crazy to think a rail as thin as it is would be made of iron, but I guess. Nowadays I think they'd be steel, but it is what it is. Now this railing has a lot of connecting sprues to it, as you're seeing. So it takes a minute to cut it out. Again, you want to try to stay as close to the rail as possible when cutting it, because otherwise you'll have little overhangs and then you'll have to do more cutting or trimming once it's off the sprue. Okay, that should do it. Yep. Okay, so here's our railing. Now, they are side specific and they go a certain direction, so that then lines up your pieces. Just make sure they are where they're supposed to be, essentially. All right, now running into one small problem here that I'm seeing with the railing being slightly longer by probably one piece than it needs to be, and I'm guessing that's because the KA set is slightly different than China 3D. So I'm gonna have to try to do some modification to that, just slight though. So I'm actually going to start it on the back side, because you can see where it's supposed to hit basically by looking here, and up here at the bow, that is just a touch too long. So I'm going to end up having to cut this rail, and I want to cut it just a little bit longer so that it will overhang onto the other part there of the fence. I'm going to keep these here just in case I end up needing to use them for anything, because I may have to put another kind of stanchion on here that didn't really exist just to support it, but that seems to be about the right length, so I think we'll be okay. But just for safety of the piece itself, because I don't want it to furl out funny, I don't even know if that's the right word for it, but I'm going to cut those rungs off of here. I was hoping that would cut, but apparently not, so that I can glue this upright onto the end of those rails. And then that upright, while not perfectly correct for detail, it will keep that railing piece together better and ensure that it doesn't like just fall apart on me. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to dip it in the glue one more time just to make sure it stays. Okay, now to glue this, these are quite delicate when it comes down to it, and we're just going to kind of run a bead of glue along the drip rail here, and I'm only going to go so far, and then I will attach the rail and put more glue down after. Now, there are little tiny stanchions that go down to the ballard there. Ballard, whatever. You gotta knock them back. Okay. And then where I glued, I guess I actually did not need to go where the ballard is quite as far as I did, but that's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. And those two little stanchions, I'm going to put a little dot of glue on them to get them down onto the ballard better. Ballard. If I'm saying it wrong, sorry. I think it's Ballard. I keep thinking Ballard because Robert Ballard found the Titanic. And I'm just going to bend them to get them to rest on there. Now we're going to hit the next section of rail. Which will take me here. This is quite a bit longer here. It's going to go all the way to that one. And I do want to try to get that to line up as close to centered as humanly possible. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I just need to do the same thing here. That. Okay. All in all, pretty good. We just want to make sure the railing right now has a little bit of a weird bow in it, so I'm trying to get that out quick before I hit it with the accelerator. That looks pretty close right there. Okay, now you may or may not have noticed I bumped that off while we were talking. I don't think this one likes me. It keeps coming off. Okay. Now, that just clears the breakwater piece there. So we're gonna do our glue on that. And then, since we did size it out just perfect, there is a turn in the railing, which is right on that not rung, but stanchion. So to do that one, simply turning it with tweezers. Nothing fancy. Okay. That wasn't bad at all. Now, I just want to make sure there's not like a drip rail that goes under here that I'm going to be upset about later. I don't think there is, but there might be. It does not appear to have one. Didn't think so, but figured it's better to be safe than sorry. Okay. There we go. Alright, there's our railing. So that one's on. And what I'm going to do now is go ahead and do the next section, which is the opposite side, and then I'll do the center, and then we'll come back from the video, or for the video. Just fix that glue a little bit. Sorry, it just was slightly off and I didn't like it. Okay. Now I'm happier. So, I'm going to pause it and we'll go ahead and do the next section. Okay, since the last segment, I got the railings on, so they're on. I did not do the bottom or the back section here yet because there's a couple things that need to happen back here. One is this little step rail that kind of goes up underneath these doors. So they got to get done quick. We're going to put them on. I did go ahead and get my cranes pretty much ready to go, so they'll go here. I still got to put the lines on them, but I figured they were in the poop deck video, so probably don't really need to go back through and rehash that, but there they are in any case, painted up and ready to go. These here are added now. They weren't in the last part, and the fair lead part for where the rigging goes back to the mast is on. So there's that. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and put our steps on, going up here, and I'll show that again with at least one of them, just because I don't know, steps can be a pain, but they are pretty much the same. Once you do one, they're all pretty much the same, but we'll show that quick. I did start doing some mapping out because the next section is B deck, and there's some planning that I had to do with the sides of the superstructure, being that I cut them for the mini brass going on, and how we're going to end up attaching them. Most of it's going to be magnetic, but we'll kind of be going through that here in the future videos. So, just like we did back on the stern well deck, we got our step here pretty much ready to go. I am going to add a little bit more gray on the tread for that other one, and all I'm going to do is take my tweezer, bend it at 90, and then This side also bend at 90. Ooh. Okay. Then we're just going to start with our top rung here and bend it up. And just need to trim that a little bit. You get glue buildup. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I used, yeah, I did. I used a different set of tweezers for the back here, or the stern. It wasn't those. It was these. And then you're just going to kind of get yourself in there and start bending your way up to the bottom here. Now, when I go to set this, I do remember something from the Midwest Model Shop video that there was issue with the height. So I'm going to look at that and address that as needed. I think it might have only been back on the crane side, and this is the forward side, so it might not be an issue for these two ladders, but we'll check it out here. Okay. And then just got to kind of make sure you got your angle how you want it. You only get a couple shots at it, so just be careful rebending them. Okay. All in all, good. So there's that one. Now I do want to check this real quick while we're videoing right now, just to see if it also affects here or not. I think that'll be okay. Well, maybe not, because the angle of the step. Yep, okay. So here you go. You can kind of see what I'm talking about. The angle here for the rung going up, you obviously want to be straight, but when you do that, to get it straight so that I can join it to that piece of railing there, it would be an unnatural drop. You can kind of see there. So obviously this can move forward just a little bit here, and I left that kind of unglued on purpose so I had that flexibility. But we're going to have to raise this ever so slightly to about there in order for that angle to work. Oh, you can't, well, yeah, you can see. So you can see there is a gap right there. So I'm going to figure that out a few minutes here, and when I get a solution, I'll start the next segment, so I'll be back. Okay, so I'm going to take a page out of Midwest Model Shop's book here on that, and we are just going to make a small piece of styrene strip onto the end of it. I'll have to repaint that little section on the bottom there, which won't be a big deal, but these do not have to be big. Very, very small, actually, so I'm kind of eyeballing them, but I know about what I need. So there's one And the other one is right there. Okay. So what we're going to do is just hit it with a little bit of CA on the very bottom here to give it something to glue onto, and then we're just going to attach. And you'll never really be able to see this, so it's not that big of a deal. But you would be able to see step mount lining up, so I think it's important enough to try to take care of it. Okay. So now we can see how that will line up versus how it was. There we go. It's perfect. That's dead on how I wanted it. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm gonna do the other one, and I gotta paint these quick on the bottom there. I'll kind of show what it looks like in a minute. But you can see now that the landing is essentially right where it would look I did that again, right where it would look natural coming off of the deck. So basically, yeah, we gotta make sure we're taking care of that, and that could have been two different things. We got the deck, which obviously is higher with the scale decks on it, so that could be part of it. But in any case, using aftermarket parts, you run into some modification here and there, even on tried and true parts. So anyway, I'm going to glue that up, or not glue that, but paint that up and get it glued on, and then we'll move on from there. So be back shortly. Okay, one area that KA did not provide was the ladders that actually go up here. So one goes underneath that ladder, or that ladder. I'm going to have to try to get it under since I already glued it down. Should be fine to do it, but they do not provide the ladder, so I am using, this is just a stock ladder I had left over from another kit, and it'll work fine for what we're trying to do here. It won't really be that visible, but I do want to put it in. So all I gotta do is basically measure my height. So I need it to third rung down. But I'm gonna cut it a little bit big. That way I can bend my pieces to mount with. Because it still has to clear the steam pipe that we put on the wall there. Okay. Okay. Just gonna get that mounted on the wall. Which I had it for a second, sorry. And I'll probably have to touch up the paint on it a little bit. It wasn't quite dry, apparently. There we go. So let me just touch up the paint there for a second, then I'll put the other one on, and then the other stairway will come down over it. Oh, and I did go ahead and put the little boxes here as well. I did a light gray, which is the same as the tread here, just to kind of signify the treadway that it would have. So that's there. And yeah, so let me go ahead and get that mounted. I'll get the ladder put on and probably the fence, and then we'll come back and put our cranes on here shortly. And we got our little apparatus that kind of supports them, so we got to put that together yet. All right, be right back. Okay, so we finished up our stairs going up. We got our ladders going up the wall on the other side there, so that's done. I did go ahead and put the little resting platform down for the cranes, and I got them all rigged up with their cabling and all that good stuff, so they're ready to go. Just want to make sure I'm putting the crane in the right direction. So let's see, this one, yes, it goes that way. So just basic CA glue. Put that on there, and we're going to drop that guy right there. So that will go on there. And then our other one comes over here, and I did try to make sure they weren't going in the same height, but they kind of, it's harder said than, or harder done than said, I guess you'd say. So when I put the hold downs on them, that should kind of bring me in where I need to be. So same thing over here. I got accelerator on the tip of my glue. Actually, it might be empty. So it might be time for a new glue bottle. Nope, there's a little left. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to put that one under. Come on. And it's hitting on the cable for this one. Sorry, I'm talking quiet. It's hitting on the cable on the bottom here of that one, so I've got to kind of lift it. There we go. And let it set up. So we're going to let them set, then we'll come back, put our retainers over top of here, and then we have the drip rails that come along here, and that's pretty much going to wrap up the Forecastle and Welbeck. So be right back, waiting for some paint to dry on them, and then we'll get them glued down and pretty much wrap up the video. So be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and pre-cut the retainers out already. I got the middle one connected already, that way it would kind of hold down the other ones, and basically we just bend these so we got 90-degree angles going on, and I'm going to do a hit of CA glue on the piece that kind of holds it here, on both sides. And we gotta just make sure we get under the cabling. Okay. Just about there. And gotta get the side. Okay, I'm just gonna hit that with our promoter. And we're gonna do the exact same thing with this one. And these are bringing them down so that they're pretty much level how I wanted them to be, so I'm happy with that. Oh, this I just have sitting on here right now, if you saw that move, just because I wanted to kind of see what it looked like, but that's going to get put on by magnet for a charging port basically to go there. Okay, this one needs to be over the cables, so FYI, one has to be under, one has to be over, looks like. Catching on something with that line. Actually, no, I'm wrong in that. It needs to be over both crane pieces. So I'm going to put a little bit more glue on there because the adhesive promoter, or the CA promoter, tends to make the glue dry a little bit quicker. Sorry if I was talking quiet. I haven't been recording as much lately, so I gotta be conscious of what I'm saying and doing, whether I'm recording or not, because sometimes you just forget. There we go. Okay, so those are on. Last step is going to be our drain gutters, which just go along the edge here. And let me turn the page here just to make sure I'm putting it on the right side. So 17 goes over here. Knife right in front of me. So we're just going to cut that out quick. Okay, that should be about loose. It's still connected with one. There we go. And all I'm going to do for this is just run it right along the, run some CA glue right along the edge of the decking. And I want to try to be cautious of not letting it hang over at all, because this is going to have to fit in and out of the hull anytime I have to remove this portion. Hopefully that won't be often, but there could be chances. So we'll get this on, and then the final step for all of it is basically just hitting it with some dull coat to get rid of any glue marks that we have, which I'll do that off camera, but okay, that one's pretty well on already. And I'm only hitting that with that because I don't want it to go bowed at all or kind of goofy from the length of it. So I just want to make sure it stays down as intended. Sorry, I'm cutting this off camera, probably. I just realized that. I'm trying to do better about keeping focus, so I apologize for some of the previous videos. I'm making a conscious effort of it, so I see the comments. It's not intentional. Okay, so glue. I need some glue. Well, I might have to go grab glue. So anyway, I'm just going to set that right there. You kind of can see how it will look. And we're just basically going to probably go ahead and end out this video. I'll get that glued down off camera. So thank you very much for tuning in and watching. Definitely appreciate it. It's a big step having this done because now we can start moving into superstructure and getting that ready to go. So definitely excited to be at the point that we are at right now currently, and looking forward to moving on to the next phase in this. So once again, thank you very much, and please give us a like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time here at LC Model Shipbuilding.